Hey everyone, my name is Riley and this video is a complete beginner's tutorial on Calendly. I will cover everything that you need to know from all of the backend settings that we need to set up, setting up your availability and schedule, creating customized event calendars so that people can book calls with you, and how to stay on track of all of the meetings that you have. So even if you have never used Calendly or any other event scheduling software before, all you have to do is follow along with this tutorial and you will walk away as an expert. So to access Calendly, you can either go to calendly.com or you can click on the top link in the description of this video, and it's going to take you over to this page where we can sign up for a Calendly account. The first thing that I want to cover is actually the pricing and the difference between the pricing plans on Calendly. So as you can see, we have a free plan, which is free forever. We then have the standard plan, which is $10 per month, the Teams plan, which is $16 per month, or the Enterprise, which is $15K a year. So you can see there's a big difference between these. The free plan is usually the one that I use, and it's the one that I would recommend getting started with. Just set up Calendly with the free account, and then if you realize you need anything that does require you to upgrade, then you can upgrade to one of these more paid plans. But essentially, these paid plans are just going to allow you to create unlimited event types, connect multiple calendars, integrate with all of these different software, schedule as a team, send you notifications and reminders, and you also get 24/7 live chat support. So if you immediately do see anything here, you might want to go for the standard or the Teams plan. However, I recommend just starting out with the free plan. So we can click on Get Started right here, and we can now create our free Calendly account. To do this, you can either enter in the email that you would like to sign up with, or you can sign up with your Google account or Microsoft account. Once you have done that, we are now going to be taken over to this screen where it asks, how do you plan on using Calendly? We can choose on my own or with my team. So I'm going to select the team area right here, and then we can click on continue. Next, it's going to ask what kind of work do we do? Do we do finance, education, consulting, marketing, any of these options? So I'm just going to go for consulting in this example, and then we can click on continue. Just like that, once we have this set up, we have now created our Calendly account and we are inside of the Calendly dashboard. Now, before we go any further and we actually start setting up different events and start allowing people to book on our calendar, the first thing that we need to do is actually go into the back-end settings, as there is a few things that we need to set up here. To access the back-end settings, go up to your profile icon in the top right corner, click into this, and then we want to go to profile. In the profile area, we first of all want to add a profile image, as this is going to show up at the top of the booking page when people want to schedule a call with you. So it's very important to do this. All we have to do is click on upload picture, find the image that we would like to upload, then we can click on open, make sure this is set to the correct parameters and is as big as we need, just like that, and then we can click on apply. As you can see, my profile image is now in here. You can then select your name. So by default, it already has my name. And then we also have a welcome message. So for the welcome message, it's going to show up like this. So this is what people will see when they go to book a call with you. They will see the profile image that we just set, your name, and then they will see a brief description below. So this is okay. Welcome to my scheduling page. Please follow the instructions to add an event to my calendar. You can leave that as it is, or we can add our own customized welcome message. So I'm going to change this to the welcome to the GeForce North scheduling page. And then the rest of this, honestly, I'm pretty happy with. So I'm just going to leave as this is. Then if you want to change the language, if you want to change the date format, the time format, the country, and also the time zone, we can do this by selecting any of these options right here. So you can set all of that right there. And then once you are happy with this, we just save changes. And all of these changes are now going to be saved. Next, let's go over to the branding area. This is where we can add a logo for the company that will appear in the top left-hand corner of the scheduling page. To upload the image, we just click on Upload Image, find the image of the logo that we would like to add, and then we can open that right here. Once again, I'm going to adjust the box to fit all of this in, and then we can click on Apply. My logo is now here. If you have additional users in your organization, if you have like a team of sales members that you are going to be adding to your calendar and allowing people to book calls with, then it's a good idea to apply this to all users in your organization. At the bottom here, we can also see Calendly's branding, so you might want to turn this on or off. I prefer to turn this off, and then we can click on Save Changes. Just like that, these changes are now saved. The next thing that we want to change in the backend area is My Link. So we can see right here, My Link. If people go to this link right here, calendly.com/GeForce this is where they can actually book a call. However, I actually want to remove the help from this and just keep this as GeForce North, and we can see if this is going to be available. So you can customize the backend of your Calendly link right here. Then once you are happy with this, we want to save changes again, and those changes are going to be saved. You can also update login preferences if you want to. However, I linked a Google account, so I'm happy with this. This is how I want to log in. And the final thing that we are going to cover in these backend settings is the calendar sync. So right now, you can see I have my Google Calendar for this specific email address, and this is going to sync to my Google Calendar. So anytime somebody books a call with me, it's going to show up on my Google Calendar for this specific email address. If you have any other calendars that you would like to set up and sync with Calendly, you can do this right here by clicking on Add Calendar Account. And then we can select what type of account you want to add, whether we want to add a Google Calendar, an Outlook calendar, or an iCloud calendar. And to connect a new calendar, we just click on Connect. Select the Google account we would like to connect this with. And just like this, you can see I now have 2 of my calendars synced up. So that's how you can sync calendars right there. So we now have all of the backend settings set up. Let's go back to home. Once we are on the homepage of Calendly, the next thing that we want to do is set up the availability for our calls. For example, I don't want people to be able to book calls at 11 p.m. So let's take that option away. To do this, let's go over to availability on the left-hand side, and then we can see the working hours that we currently have. Now, you can create different schedules if you want to, but the main one that we are going to be focusing on is working hours. Let's go down, and once again, we can set the time zone right here to make sure we are in the correct time zone. And although I am in the UK, I want the dates and times and basically all of the times that I work within to be on the Eastern time. That's where I'm going to get the most calls. Then we can go down and set the weekly hours that we work. So I also work on Saturdays. So let's turn this on. As you can see, I now have Saturdays on, and people can book calls from Monday to Saturday, but not on Sunday. If you want to deselect a day, for example, if I don't work Saturday, I can turn this off. You can see I'm now unavailable on that day. We can then go in and change the times that we are working. So right here, people can book calls between 9 to 5 in the Eastern time zone. However, I like to keep my mornings free. This is where I like to get my deep work tasks done, so I don't really want people booking calls at 9 a.m. Let's go down and change this. I'm actually going to change this to 12 p.m. so that people can only book calls between 12 and 5. So we can go down and we can change these to all different times. So I can say on Monday, I want people to book calls from 12, Tuesday 10, or you can set these all to be the same. To do this as an easier option, we just go to this copy icon next to the day where the times are set correctly, and then we can copy times to all of these days. So I'm just going to go down and select all of the days apart from Sunday, click on apply, and as you can see, that is going to automatically set all of my booking times to only allow people to book calls between 12 and 5 p.m. In this section, we can also add date-specific hours. So this is where you can book off certain specific days of your calendar if you're not going to be in office. Right now, it is the 6th of June. And let's say that I have a doctor's appointment on Monday and I'm not going to be able to take calls. This is the section that we can use to do that. So we can click in to add date-specific hours. Then I'm going to set this to Monday, where I have my doctor's appointment. And then you can see I can now set my specific hours that I am available on Monday, the 10th of June. In fact, I'm not available for any of these hours. I'm not going to be working at all on the 10th of June. So what I'm going to do is go down to what hours are you available, cross this off, and you can see I am now unavailable on this date. If I click on apply, Monday the 10th of June, I am unavailable. And that's how we can set that right there. If you are out of office or you have something coming up on a specific date, we can set this right here. We can also use this date-specific hours for another reason, to cut down on times on a specific date. Let's say on the 23rd of June, I already have an in-person client meeting set, and I will not be able to take calls from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. To do this, I just click on date-specific hours, and then we can set the 23rd, so that's a Sunday, so ignore that. Let's say this is on the 24th of June. So I can set 24th between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. So I am available between 12 and 1. We can set that right there. Then I'm going to add. And then I come back to the office at 3. Let's give 3:30 for a bit of a time buffer and set this once again to 5. Then I can click on apply. You can see on the 24th of June, I am only available between 12 and 1 and 3:30 and 5. The time between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m, people will not be able to book on my calendar. That is how we can set up availability. Next, let's go in and actually start creating events and creating calendars for people to be able to book on. To do this, let's go over to event types. And by default, Calendly are going to give me this 30-minute one-on-one meeting. Let's go ahead and delete this. Click on this settings icon, and then we can click on delete. Perfect. Now let's create a new event type. In the event type, we can choose what type of event we are going to be creating here. We can either choose a one-on-one call. So this option allows people to book a one-on-one call with a member of our team. The group option allows us to create one host, so just me, with a group of invitees, and this is best for webinars or online classes. We then have collective, so this is for more than one host, more than one member of my team with one invitee, one potential client. And then we have round robin, so this is good for if you have an entire sales team and you want to equally distribute your sales calls between your sales team. Let's keep this nice and simple though, and set up a simple one-on-one call. We can click into this. Then we can choose a host. So right here, I only have one host that is currently within my Calendly team. But for now, we can just choose the host as me, then click on next. And right here, we can now name this event. Now, I want this to be a sales call, but I don't want to call this a sales call. So I'm just going to call this a discovery call. We can then set the duration of this call anywhere between 15 minutes to 60 minutes by default, but you can also go for custom time and set this to however long you want. If this is a 75-minute call, we can set that right there. I'm just going to go for 30 minutes though. Then we can set up the location. So if this is a Zoom call, a phone call, an in-person meeting, or we have a few other options right here, like Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, and things like that. If we select Zoom, we can actually go ahead and connect up our Zoom account and allow people to receive an email. So the email that they get when they book this will include the Zoom link that they need to join when they want to join my call. Right here though, you can see Zoom is not connected. So we need to visit the Zoom integration page to connect up Zoom to your account. Once again, we are going to be met with two options where we can either set up Zoom for the organization or set up Zoom for yourself. I'm just going to go for myself for now. We can connect Zoom right here. And then it's going to ask me to sign into my Zoom account. This is all you need to do. Calendly is extremely smart and it's going to basically set up links for you. So all you need to do is connect up your Zoom account right here. Just like that, I can then choose to access shared permissions, allow, and I now have Zoom connected up to my account. So if I now go back and refresh this page, and I once again select Zoom, you can see that Zoom is now going to show up. And as soon as somebody books a call, Calendly is going to send them a confirmation email with the link to the Zoom call that they need to join, and they can join that link. I will show you how this works from both your end and the client end later on in the video. Let me just go and rename this to Discovery Call, and perfect. So that is Zoom right there. We can also set up phone call. So if we select this, we can choose whether you will call the invitee or the invitee should call you. It's always a better idea to go, I will call my invitee because it's going to reduce no-show rates. But we can select that right there. And that is how you can select phone call. We can also go in-person meeting right here and set the location. So we could go for like the Shard, London. If we were very bougie and we wanted to set up at the Shard London, and that's going to show right there. But I'm just going to leave this as Zoom and then click continue. In this area, we can now set up everything to do with the call. So we've already set up the event details right here. That's what we just set up. We can go for host and invitees, which is going to show the host that you connected to this specific calendar. Then we can go down to schedule settings. In here, we can choose the date range. So how far into the future can invitees schedule this call? By default, this is set to 60 days. I personally prefer 30, but this is complete personal preference. You can also set this to within a date range and select the date range right here. So I can say that I'm only going to be accepting calls from the 1st to the 30th of June. Or we can set this to indefinitely in the future. If you do this, just be aware that if somebody goes crazy and books a call out in December, they basically have no chance of showing up for that call, which is why I prefer to set this to 30. Then we have the available hours. So we can go in here and you can see we set up the available hours earlier, and that's why we did this. So we can just drop this into the event and we don't have to mess around with this. Next, we can go down to event limits, and this is where we can add time before or after booked Calendly calls so that we can reduce the chance of a call running over, or you don't have back-to-back-to-back-to-back calls without any rest in between. To do this, we just go to buffer time and we can set this right here. So we can say that before the event, there needs to be a 15 or even 10-minute break. And then you can even set a break after event. Next, we can also set a minimum notice. So I don't really like this. If somebody was to book a call 4 hours before, that would be pretty hectic. So usually I would set this to like 24 hours before, but it's completely up to you. You can even turn this to like minutes. So somebody could book a call 30 minutes before if you really wanted to take calls like that. And we can also set a daily limit of the maximum amount of calls that are allowed to be booked in a day. So I could set this to like 6, which means I would never have more than 6 sales calls in a day. And we can set that right there. From here, we can then save and close and go out of the schedule settings area. And now we can set up the booking page options. The first thing that we can do is add an event link. So as we selected earlier, the main link is calendly.com/GeForce North. And then to get to this specific page, like you might have multiple pages for a discovery call, for client check-in calls, from all of these different things. So we can add the back end of this link right here. So this link would be calendly.com/GeForce North/discovery-call. And that's going to take them to this specific page. Once again, you can change this. I just like to take the slashes out. And that is set up right there. Then we can create the booking form where we can ask invitee questions. So by default, and we can't change these, it's going to ask for the name and the email. Of course, we need both of these things. So you actually can't go in and change this. You can click on edit, but all it's going to ask is the name input. So if you just ask for their name or their first and last name. We can also choose to allow invitees to add guests. So we can turn this on or off. And then we can actually add our own questions. So by default, they have a question that is, please share anything that will prepare for our meeting. I like this question and I think it's valid, but if not, you can just go down and turn this off, or you can even delete or edit this. If we go into edit right here, we can edit the question, and then we can also select the answer type. So I can add a new question as well. And for this question, I might say, how much can you realistically invest in a service like this? Because this is going to get rid of a lot of tire kickers. If somebody comes in and says $100, probably not worth taking that call. We can then go down to answer type and choose how they will be allowed to answer this question. So 1 line, multiple lines, radio buttons, checkboxes, drop down, or phone number. So in here, this is just going to be 1 line. I just want them to input an amount. And then we can choose if this question is required. We can then click done. And that question is going to be added right there. We could also add another question and say like, what is your phone number? Once again, required. And then we can go down to phone number and select that right there. So that is how we can add questions. Next, we can choose whether we want to collect payment on form. So for example, you might want to set up that people have to pay a certain amount to get on a call with you. If you do want to do this, then we just go collect payment. Then we need to set up and connect either Stripe or PayPal. So once again, we can go to integrations right here. Now let's just make sure this is saved. Then let's go back in and set this up. And then in here, we just go to Stripe, connect with Stripe, and we can connect our Stripe account, and then PayPal as well. We just click here, connect with PayPal, and then we can connect our accounts right there. Once that is done, we can go back, collect payment, and then set the price. And that's how you can collect payments on form. We can also set up the confirmation page. I always leave this to the default Calendly confirmation page. But if you do have an external site that you want to link people to, like maybe a testimonial page or something like that, after they have booked the call, then you can go redirect to an external site and enter the URL in right here. I'm just going to go back to the default, and then we can save and close. The final thing that we are going to set up within an event is communications right here. So by default, this is going to give them a calendar invitation, which is of course what we need. But if you want to send email reminders, we can turn this on, and then we can edit this. And this is just going to send them reminders right here. So we can select the reply to email address, which is going to be the default email address, or you can add a no reply email address if you, for some reason, don't want people to be able to reply. And then we can edit the subject and the body right here. So we can see the subject is going to be reminder and then the event name. So this would say discovery call with Riley Holden at event time on event date. So you can add or delete these. And if you want to redo this yourself and type this in, then to add this kind of code that is going to show the name, the event date, we just click on variables and then we can add this right here. Then for the body, by default, this says, hi, invitee name. This is a friendly reminder, and it's just going to remind them. So once again, you can delete this, you can add this in, we can add the variables right here, and then we can also choose the timing. So how many hours before the event? So we could say 24 hours, and I really want to reduce no-shows, so we can add one 6 hours before as well. We can also add a cancellation policy right here, and then this at the bottom allows people to cancel and reschedule links within the email. So in the email, and I will show you this later, it's basically going to say, if you want to cancel or reschedule, click this link and you can do so. I always recommend leaving this on. Then we can click save and close. And just like that, we now have our event set up. Let's go back to done. And as you can see, my event for discovery call has now been set up. Let's go to the booking page and I will show you like the point of view of a client who is potentially going to book a call with you. So they are now on the discovery call page. And let's say I am a client and I want to book a call with Riley Holden on Tuesday the 18th. So I would click on Tuesday the 18th. I can then select the time that I want to book a call with. As you can see, because I'm in the UK, the time zone is automatically going to be set to the UK. Let's set this to Eastern time though, and say that I want to book a call at 1 PM. We can then click on next, and it's going to take me through to this screen where it's going to ask all of the questions that I earlier asked for. So in here, I can fill all of this information in. As you can see, the required questions are going to be hit with this little asterisk next to it to show that this is required. And this one is not required. So I can just leave this blank, click on schedule event. And then as you can see, it says you are scheduled. This is the default Calendly scheduled page. So it says a calendar invitation has been sent to your email address. And if I now go over to my email, once again, this is from the perspective of a client who just booked a call. I can see this is the email that I'm going to receive. So we can see the event name, the location is on Zoom. And then right here, it gives us the Zoom link that we need to join. So all your client has to do is come in here, click on this Zoom link, and then enter the Zoom password when it pops up, and they will be able to enter your Zoom meeting. Down here, they also have the links that I mentioned earlier in order to cancel and reschedule. So if I wanted to cancel this call, actually let's reschedule first. I can go reschedule, click on reschedule, then we can go to this link. And then I can now choose the date and time that I would like to reschedule on. So let's say I'm unavailable on the day that I chose, but I am available on Friday now at 3:30 PM. It's then going to ask things like reason for change. I say not available. Then we can click on update event. And now from the perspective of the client, I can see this updated email right here. I can see when this was changed from and when this was changed to. And then once again, I have the Zoom link to join right here. So that is the perspective of a client. But how about you as the owner of this Calendly event? What do you see? So what we can do is over on this left-hand side, we can click into scheduled events. And this is going to show you all of the calls that you have booked on your calendar. So I can now see on Friday, the 21st of June, the call that I just booked is going to show up right here. I can also see that this was a rescheduled call and the reason for this. And I can click into more details to get a much more in-detailed view of this. So I can see the question that they answered, $10,000 is absolutely fine. I can see the invitee time zone. I can see their email right here. And if for some reason you want to reschedule the call yourself, we can click reschedule. And you can choose a date and time that you as the owner want to reschedule this to. Once again, it will send the client an email and let them know that you have rescheduled. And then if they are not available at that time, then they can reschedule, but it gets a little bit technical there. If I see something on my calendar right here that just doesn't look good, like if this guy said, I have $10 to invest, then what I can do is just go over here, cancel this event and say, sorry, your budget was not enough, and then cancel. And then I can see this event has now been cancelled. And the date and time, so Friday the 21st of June, this has now reopened back up for people to book in once again because I have cancelled this. In this area, we can also see past calls. All of the calls and bookings that you have had in the entire time that you have had Calendly are going to show up right here. And also, I will show you this. So this is from the perspective of me as the owner. I get emails every time somebody books a call. So we can see I have a new event. Somebody booked a call right here. Then I can see when they rescheduled this. So a new event has been scheduled. They rescheduled it to this date. And I can also see that I cancelled this. So anytime you get any kind of activity as the owner of the Calendly account, you are going to get emails sent to the email that you connected to your account. The last thing that I want to show you in Calendly is the apps and integrations. So I already showed you how you can integrate with Stripe, PayPal, and Zoom, but these are all of the other integrations that you can get access to. So these are all of the options right here. And all you would have to do to connect to any of these is simply click on this. Then you can go through and connect this up, and it will walk you through step by step exactly how to do this for each individual integration. So that is my complete Calendly tutorial. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to smash that like button and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy.